Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, the late great Johnny Carson once joked there is only one fruitcake on the planet, it just keeps getting forwarded to someone else. Well, I would submit to you that Carson never tasted this one. It's the Collin Street Bakery, and we'll be talking to the head of public relations next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's ice box.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm having a nostalgic day because this has always been a part of my life. It's the Collin Street Bakery fruitcake tin, and my grandmother, who lived in Ennis, would ship it up to Detroit, where we were living, and we would dine on this over the holidays every single year. And then I moved to Ennis, and I got to visit the Collin Street Bakery and do stories on it. That's why I'm so excited to have Hayden Crawford on my show today. He is the Director of Public Relations. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, you bet. Thank you for having me, Jeff.
So I want you to share the history, because a lot of people have heard of the Collin Street Bakery. They've seen it on 45 as they're going to Houston, but they don't know the rich history.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story. So a German immigrant was coming in. He was a baker, and he was coming up from the coast of Texas and on the railroad system, and he got off in Corsicana. We don't know if he got out of money or whatever it was, but he got off in Corsicana, founded a little shop, and began to bake all these different goods. One of them was specialty, his fruitcake from his mother's recipe. So the shop took off. He got the attention of an entrepreneur there in town who owned the Cotton Gin and the Opera House, and things took off. And within 10 years, he had to grow out of that location into a new location. That location had a hotel above it that they built. Had about 8 rooms, I think. It was small, but there they were discovered by different politicians and movie stars and celebrities that would come through town, because Corsicana was an oil boom town, the first in Texas. Huge influx of people. One of those was John Ringling and the Ringling Circus. They got the fruitcakes, took them overseas when they were performing, handed them out to family and friends overseas. Those people began to write us and say, "Can we get another one of those?" And that's how our mail order business started.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were telling me before we started that you tried to change the iconic cover at one point, but you had a revolt.
So yeah, much like New Coke, when Coke went to New Coke, I had to go quickly back. We had a tradition of switching out the tins every other year or every 5th year or whatever. And we'd been doing that for years. And we came across this tin design. We don't know where we got it, but we used it for a number of years, and then we decided it's time to change. And we changed it out, and the customers began to write us and say, "Hey, you got to stop. We got to get back to that old tin." And we did, and we've never moved off it since. We think that happened in the 40s or maybe early.
It's like trying to change the Nike swoosh.
You just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Much more with Hayden in a minute, but let's go ahead and roll this video.
Texans just have this thing about them, and I'm glad to be a part of the state and a part of that pride. People will say, "Oh, you're from Corsicana? That's Collin Street Bakery."
It's our history, it's our heritage, it's our attention to detail that really allows us to put that kind of focus on the quality, the premium world-class nature of our cake.
I think what's important with the Collin Street Bakery is every time that a customer purchases a cheesecake, a pecan pie, you're getting a little bite of heritage and a tradition of quality that goes back nearly 120 years now.
It's been around a long time. If it was not a good product, it would not be here.
And that goes from everything from the smallest cookie up to the largest cake that we make. We take an enormous amount of pride in the quality.
Whether it's locally harvested honey, whether it's raisins from California or cherries from the Pacific Northwest.
They're the best we can find. We founded the world's largest organic farm in Costa Rica just because we wanted to get the quality type of pineapple papaya that we demand for our products.
The handmade products at the Collin Street Bakery are truly the best you can find on the planet.
The craftsmanship is just phenomenal, touched with human hands and made with a little bit of love. That's what you get at your doorstep whenever you order from the Collin Street Bakery. And we take a lot of pride in that.
So when I did a feature story on you guys in the late 90s for a segment called Really Crilley for Fox 4, I remember them telling me that one of the secrets was that they added extra pecans. And so I'm going to take this off so you can see this. I mean, this is just delicious. People think they don't like fruitcake. They just haven't tried yours.
Yes, we totally agree. So we sample our fruitcake in our stores every day because there are people that come in and say, well, they say, I don't like fruitcake. And have you ever tasted fruitcake? Well, no, I just know I don't like it. And so we sample every day. And the worst I've ever heard is, hey, that isn't bad.
I don't want to oversell this, but to me, it tastes like pecan pie. So like if you like pecan pie and what Texan doesn't, you're gonna love this fruitcake.
Yeah, it's almost a third pecans. So we have the world's largest pecan shelling plant in Corsicana. We own the majority of it. So we get freshly shelled pecans every day. We use natives for the main part of the cake. Natives are the hard shell that have the best flavor to them. And then we decorate with the paper shells, the larger nuts, because they're just prettier, but they don't have quite the flavor.
So it's not just me raving about this. You guys have been featured on big networks, and let's go ahead and roll another clip now.
People ask me, email me, Twitter me.
Where do you go to eat?
What's your favorite dish?
What's the best thing you've ever had?
And that's why we're here now.
Not only to tell you what we'd love to eat,
but where you can go to get it.
One of the things that I love to either send to somebody or have somebody send to me during the holidays is a fruitcake.
seriously, fruitcake? You cannot convince me.
I think fruitcake's gotten a bad name over the years. I want to try to turn that around.
That better be a damn good fruitcake.
This one, I think, is the best one. Strangely enough, the other day in the office, I had this amazing, amazing fruitcake from the Collin Street Bakery in Corsicana, Texas. So I cut it up. 20 minutes later, it was gone. Everybody ate the fruitcake. It's fantastic. They've been making this fruitcake at Collin Street Bakery since 1896.
We're the largest fruitcake maker in the world. We'll do about 1 million fruitcakes a year.
That's a lot of fruitcakes. Obviously, somebody out there likes them. I'm one of them.
Ours is 27% pecans, and that's what makes ours different than the rest, with just enough batter to hold it together.
We're going to start mixing our fruit and nuts.
I think why I like this one the best is the ingredients are fantastic.
We have the world's largest pecan shelling plant right here in Corsicana. We shell our nuts fresh daily.
They get their pineapples from Costa Rica. There's papaya.
Raisins from California.
They get their cherries from Washington State.
Wherever the fruit grows the best, that's where you get them and bring them in.
We're going to coat this with our flour. Now we're going to add our slurry.
The ingredients are basically flour, eggs, honey.
Our slurry is there just to hold our main ingredients together.
They pour them into a mold. They decorate with maraschino cherries and pineapple, and they also put pecans on top. And then it bakes in the oven for about 1.5 hours, and then it goes to a cooling station, and then it gets wrapped up and shipped to you. This is how it comes, in this beautiful tin. You open it up, and it looks like a Christmas wreath. Not only is it beautiful, but once you get into it, delicious. It's soft but crunchy because of the nuts that are in there. But mostly, you're really getting the sweetness of the candied fruit. It's one of the best things I ever ate.
That's why I like this show. It makes me want to try fruitcake.
Wow. You know what impressed me the most? And I guess I didn't know this. You still hand decorate.
We hand decorate every deluxe. It's a gorgeous design. I like to point out to people that we'd have no green cherries in our cake. A lot of people say, "Oh my gosh, green cherries." We have green pineapple and red pineapple, but only red cherries. That, of course, are the two colors for Christmas. And that's why we do that. Some people don't know why we do the red and green fruit. But it's a classic cake and recipe that housemakers used for years and years, and we just picked it up.
And I was impressed to learn, because when I went down there in the late 90s to do the feature story for Fox 4, it was kind of like a hall of fame, and it showed Vanna White and letters from famous people.
Yeah.
To tell us about some of the rich and famous that have become fans.
Well, we have, I mean, it's a wonderful and long history. But as you're pointing out, Vanna White and Nolan Ryan and Michael York,
Princess Caroline.
Princess Caroline, thank you. Yeah, all current customers. Princess Caroline, of course, being Grace Kelly's daughter, who was also a big customer of ours. Roy Rogers was a big customer of ours. His son actually came down, Walt Rogers Jr., to help us grand opening of the location that we're in now, which is now 60 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so impressed, and you've got the future looks very bright. You've got a McNutt family tradition. How many
Fourth generation of McNutts. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, is that wild?
And when you were telling me that you're 125 years old, I thought to myself, man, if we went back to a phone book from, 1896.
Yeah.
I don't know that we would recognize too many other companies, even banks, maybe the Dallas Morning News. You could probably name on one hand the companies that are still around.
Agreed. It is such an amazing thing for us to be in our 125th year. And like you said, growing. We have been, the business has been moving up as more and more younger people discover and realize they like our fruitcake.
Well, what I love is traditions and making it an art piece, because I know you guys never lose sight of the fact that your next fruitcake could is your first chance to win the new fan, right?
Yeah.
And so when you guys are creating this work of art, are you thinking about the customer?
All the time. We're customer centric. It's all about the customer. You know that's who brought us, of course, and so that's part of my job with the bakery, is to make sure the customer feels like they are the only one in our world.
Okay, we're almost out of time, so your camera is there on the right. Talk to the person who says, "No, I don't like fruitcake. I don't like fruitcake."
Well, and everyone always says this, but you never had ours. It's almost 30% pecans, and they're the freshest pecans you can buy. We have our own pecan shell right there in Corsicana that supplies them to us. Wherever the fruit goes the best or grows the best, that's where we bring it in. So our cherries come from the Pacific Northwest. Our raisins come from California. Our pineapple and papaya come from Costa Rica, brought in and held together with just a little honey batter. And what you get is a cake that is different, delicious, and as Jeff said, tastes like a pecan pie.
Wow. Tradition Alive. We're going to end with your website. It's collinstreet.com. Hayden Crawford, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Jeff.
You bet. All right. Now I'm going to dig in. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.